All right, so for any of you guys that have a Lifesmart space heater, this thing is awesome. I bought it originally when we were caretaking for my mom. She passed away in 2019, so we've had it for a while. If it stops working on you, there's a couple reasons why that may have happened, and I can't tell you exactly what these sensors are, but obviously they're important, and that's what led me to the discovery on how to reset it. Inside here, you can see those little sensors. I just put the face back on just so I can show you what it looked like with it on. We can pull it back off probably in a second here, but the point being is we also use this for 2 litters of puppies, and it was full of gunk. It got bad. I figured there had to be a sensor in here somewhere that gone off somehow. There's a reset button or a fuse. So we opened it up. First thing I did after I got it all open was looked around in the circuit board. Didn't see anything pop. There's a little fuse right down in here on the circuit board. It actually says fuse. You can kind of see it's right there in between the 2 blue wires on the 2 on the left. And we'll turn around the other side. So right inside of here, we go from the other side. You can see it even says fuse. I checked that immediately, and I could tell it's good. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but it is good. So I blew all this out, got it clean as I could. You know, as far as wiping it down, you probably want to use a rag with some cleaner on the rag. Do not spray this stuff. It's all electronic. So I figured between the puppies peeing and everything else, they may have got some liquid in here or humidity and destroyed it. Well, I went through it, looked at everything. Everything looked good, cleaned it up. And going back to where I started here, there's this little button. That button actually depresses. So if it's popped out, right now it kind of looks like it's popped out, but it's not. It's pushed back in. Just push that in and reset it. I'd recommend using a screwdriver with some insulator on it or something, just in case so you don't get shocked. But make sure it's unplugged, of course. All you do is push that in. Again, I don't know what it's called. This is an amateur job, but I've always been very technical. So this goes for model number ZCHT1070US. And I imagine it's probably the same on a lot of these. I know this is still dirty. Give you an idea how dirty this thing was. We haven't cleaned the wrap for the cord yet. But right here is your thermometer, your temperature sensor. Tells the thing when to shut on and off. Clean that up too. Wasn't sure if that was just a sniffer when I pulled it off. You can tell it's just a little wire. It's just a little temperature sensor. You can kind of see with the backdrop of my finger in there. So it's like any other temperature sensor. Just a wire with a sensor in it that's shrink wrapped. And probably going to, like I said, clean this up a little bit more. And go from there. But the minute I hit that little tiny button there, I was going to try to YouTube it myself, but I figured I'd make the YouTube. That was it. Reset it, turned right on. Also, taking this thing apart. Well, you know, we're not perfect, especially when it comes to plastic stuff. They're made to break. So, as you can see here, I didn't even pull on anything. I was super gentle. It still managed to break some of this plastic on the front. I didn't really pull on this, but somehow at some point, I think when I slid the cover off, it busted. First thing is first, these side covers, they slide on and off. And this is actually says do not cover. And yeah, I know you guys are going to say, well, you avoided your warranty opening up. That's okay. I got it working again. These side covers here, this is the inside of the opposite. They slide on and off. So first, this back cover slides backwards. I undid all the screws in the back, by the way, on the sides, all that stuff. And you have to undo these side ones. Just FYI, I know I'm kind of going out of order here. Just, again, I just want to make a quick help video. If you have any questions, please ask. But undo these screws for the covers to slide. There's a couple up underneath here too for the lid. So all this one just slides backwards off the back. And then my wife's cleaning the other one. So for the side here, these covers also slide off forward. So you can see now it's I'm kind of getting close here because it's kind of hard to get the whole shot without getting my whole house in the picture as well and the damn sunlight. But these covers, if you look here, you can see it kind of sits in here, and it sits in top. And everything just locks into place and it slides on. So I'm going to set the camera down 1 second. We'll pause it. And I'm going to slide it on so you can see it. You just set it back in and slide it back. Okay, so I got to say, I probably could have done this with one hand. It was super easy putting it on. I mean, it literally just clipped down and then just slightly back, and that's it. It wasn't hard. Now, I'm hoping I help you guys not break any tabs or do anything crazy to screw it up. But before you do that as well, we got to put these screws back in the face. But I just wanted to show you how it goes back on. And again, it slides forward. It just comes right off. It's easy. It really is. I mean, it might be stuck a little bit, but just be persistent. There's the screw holes from the back. You can see you have to remove from the back. But there's no screws in the back plate that go directly in coming to the front. You have to remove. It's all around the sides and the top for the lid. So all those screws do is hold on these side panels and the top panel. So again, we're going to put the screws back in this face plate first. There's also some on the bottom here. So this is the other part for the face plate. I don't know why they needed so many dang screws. There's 3 here and 4 up top on the sides. So that's 7 screws. And then the bigger side plates make sense, 3 screws. But then actually there's 3 more on top, so that's 6 screws on that as well. I guess they don't want anybody getting injured with this thing. It's safety, but a little much for the front cover. So again, we're going to go ahead with these side screws in on the face plate. And, you know, again, going back to it, I did break a couple tabs, and I was very gentle. So be prepared for that. It's not the end of the world. There's so many damn screws, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Biggest thing is keep it in a safe place. Try not to use an extension cord. And if you have to, use a short one, but you're not supposed to. Just for safety. So let me get these screws back in, and I'll go over everything and show you at the end how it looks assembled and the screws that have to go back. Okay, so I kind of cleaned the back of this up a little better. So to show you before we move forward is these top screws for the side plate. They go on right there. So those are in. The 4 screws on the face are obviously already in. And then we're going to put screws along the side here to hold these side panels in. And then the 2 screws for the lid. You know, they're basically all in the back. So you got to remove 1, 2, 3 screws. 1, 2, 3. Same here, 1, 2, 3. And then 2 for the lid there. So that's a total 8 screws. Nothing else needs to come out. I took these screws out. All the exterior screws are black for aesthetics. All the interior screws for the panels are the silver color. And then on the outside, on the front plate, that's also just black aesthetic screws. So I got a ton of screws to put back in. Trial and error. And then, of course, the last 2 screws for this filter that's missing right now that we cleaned. So let me get the top cover back on. I'll get all the final screws in and come back to you. Said that last time, but I figured I'd just jump on and show you progress. Okay, the reason I'm showing you these 2 screws after all is said and done is these things really are only made to come apart one additional time. Because they will not screw back in. Believe it or not, I thought maybe that this one here was just, you know, not aligning with the side panel. It's not the case, because I had the same problem here in the lid. I took the lid back off. Again, this lid just slides forward. You have about an inch gap where it sets in and slides forward. And when I took it off, this screw is holding good, and I went to put it back in the second time, and now it's stripped. It's barely holding in there. So I did not use the drill to put them back. I did use a hand screwdriver to avoid that problem since it's going in the plastic, and it still happened. So as you can see, there's supposed to be 3 screws here. Hopefully you get luckier than me. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to fall apart. They just want to make extra sure it's safe. I know that's the reason behind all these screws. Keep kids out of there, hopefully, you know, and with all the magic of taking it apart, most people would give up, especially young kids. So these screws here do not need to come out below these tabs for the wire wrap. Filter's back in. Those 2 screws are back in. I kept those separate, but you know what? All these black screws are exactly the same. So your main concern is the screws around the silver part in the back. 2 up top for the lid. The 3 on each side for the panels. And then underneath here, you can see the black screws on the exterior. So got a little bit of cleaning to do. But you got 1, 2, 3 down here. And then, of course, the ones that were on the top under this top panel that I already put back on. As you can see, it's a fairly snug fit. Everything lines back up pretty well. And we're good to go. It's back together. Again, this is for the space heater model number ZCHT1070US. That's about it, I guess, for Lifesmart. So let's, I'm going to set the camera down this time instead of pausing it, and I'm going to plug it in and see if it works still after we put it back together. And of course we got 2 extra screws now because they won't stay in. I guess if you really cared about it that much, you could just use some glue and, you know, put a little glue on there, put them back in, and tape them up until they were solid, but later on you might have trouble getting it apart. So I'm going to leave mine out. Let me see here. Well, you heard the first beep. Sounds like it's powered on. And again, that little red button on the side, that's what the sensor looks like right there, that round sensor with the 2 black screws hanging out. There's one on both sides, but the one, if you're looking at the heater, on the right hand side has that little red reset button. So, there we go. It's working. I'll go ahead and let you see it get hot so you don't have like anxiety. I didn't show you that part. And then I'll have to let it cool down again. High fan just came on. Sorry about the video. Let me clean this a little bit. Guess I could have done that earlier. It's still not that great. We live in Arizona, got a ton of sunlight, and it's always like really strong up here in the kitchen while we're doing this. You see it's heating up. That's all it was, little red reset button. Good luck, y'all.